First, you'll lose your voice. Then you won't be able to run or even walk. Then you'll die. That's all I heard when the neurosurgeon told me that I had a massive tumor wrapped around my brainstem and vocal cords. 2 weeks before, I ran an ultramarathon in the Rocky Mountains near here and won the Masters division. My kids ran the last mile with me. I was a healthy, strong mother, and I was known as an accomplished runner. My options were emergency surgery or die within 5 months, and it was highly likely that I would die on the operating table anyway. I sent my family camping, and I spent 72 hours alone in the dark, pretending to meditate. I cried, I slammed doors, I kicked trash cans against walls, and I thought, I will die young without a voice. My kids will grow up without a mother. In the darkness, I began to wonder, why did the tumor grow around my vocal cords? Did it move in there because it thought the area was abandoned? I realized that for too long, I had been saying things that I thought a good leader, a good wife, a good mother should say. I had been saying someone else's lines because I couldn't possibly know the right thing to say. For 2 decades, I've mentored and coached women who are trailblazers in their communities, and here's what I've noticed. Girls and women have never been more successful, but they've also never been so overwhelmed and more depressed. Our culture celebrates women for their beauty or their extraordinary achievements. But as women, when we don't feel beautiful and when we're not the top performer, we don't question our values, we question our worth. I had to acknowledge that I, too, was hollowing myself out in the name of reaching external goals. I packed my day so full because if I stopped running and running around, I was nothing. I had plenty of lists of what I had to do, but I'd almost forgotten what I loved to do. Once I even started writing a book, but I never finished it because I was trying to make it perfect. Alone in the darkness, I pulled the book out of its dusty box and I looked at it. And I picked up my pen and I wrote down how I wanted to move forwards. I choose joy over fear and brave over perfect. I ended up having 36 hours of surgery over 2 consecutive days. Spoiler alert, I survived. But my tongue is paralyzed on the right side, and my neck is fused from my skull to my shoulders. And because of this, I haven't run in 2 years, because my head is literally not screwed on straight. After the surgeries, I lost my voice for 4 months. I had to write a note to the speech therapist, asking her, what kind of exercises can I do to heal faster? She said, oh, honey, vocal cords are not like guitar strings. They're sensitive to tension. Working harder will make them worse. The fastest way to a strong voice is to do less. I had been running my whole life, and now I had to sit still, be quiet, and do less. What was there when I couldn't speak? Listening. I listened to my kids and to my husband, and I realized that my kids were brave. They had sat with me through all of this, and I realized my husband was incredibly brave. It made me wonder, how was a nurse brave? How was my dad brave? How is anybody brave? The courage we each need to find is different. Now that I'm 2 years out from the surgeries, I keep slipping back into old habits of chasing approval and safety. I work at the change all the time. There's not a certain number of breaths that I take or a certain type of food that I eat that makes it any easier. It takes a deep commitment to live with integrity. And then it's a daily calibration of thoughts and actions. When I coach, the first question I ask people is, are you willing to change? They think and say, ooh, that sounds hard. Then they say, I think I can keep going like this. I'm probably only around for another 40 years. So then I ask, what are you waiting for? It's the same question I ask myself, because the world cannot wait. While we worry and judge, hesitate and perfect, the opposite of joy is not sadness, it's perfectionism. The world does not need us to be perfect. It just needs us to contribute to the common good. Why wait for your deathbed to join in the fun of making the world better? Now, every time a critical, fear-filled thought comes in my mind, I wait and I listen for the whimsical voice of joy. And then I act from a place of trust and truth, even in small ways. I walked out of a movie. I've never walked out of a movie before, but Joy said, I've got better things to do. And then I was invited to the same Super Bowl party that we've gone to for years, but this time I told my friend, I love you, but I hate football. I said no to so many things that I thought I had to do, that I made space for the things I love to do. And now I'm almost finished my book. When the surgeons told me that I would never run again, fear took the microphone and said, running fast is what makes you different. What makes you extraordinary if you can't run? But Joy said, don't ask, how are you extraordinary? Ask, how is the world extraordinary? So now I slow down, and I notice the smell of butterscotch and a ponderosa pine, and the wings of a hummingbird after a rain. I go for a walk with my neighbor who is lonely. I lost something important to me, but I found unexpected joys. One thing I know, the speech therapist was right. The fastest way to a strong voice is to do less. So I ask you to think about your own lives. Where could you say less and listen more? And where might you do less and become more? What if we all chose brave over perfect every day, even when mortality isn't staring us in the face?